Good morning, fans of the Pittsburgh Piledriver Podcast. Tigerbomb Tom here with you for episode 3 of the Sunday Morning Suplex. Thanks for tuning in. And this week, I've actually got one of my other cohorts with me. Mystery guest, please identify yourself.
Yo, downtown, let me speak on that. Olé! Beef the Legend here. Good morning, Facebook wrestling fans.
That's right. We got Mr. The Man, The Beef, The Legend. How you doing this morning, Beef?
Tom, there's football on at 9:30. I'm going to Outback Steakhouse today. Gonna be a good day.
Nice. Well, as per our usual, we usually do thank the sponsors and everything like that. So I'm going to go ahead and hand that over to Beef. Beef, why don't you go ahead and thank the sponsors real quick before we bring our ugly mugs here on screen.
Right on. Well, we definitely want to thank, you, Casual Gaming Dad, and
yes.
your support that you've given us on Facebook. You have sent a lot of fans our way, so we certainly, are so thankful for everything you've done, and joining our team and everything. It's a good fit, and obviously we want to thank Sean Tischler as well, and his work. Continue to keep your eyes posted on the. There's an IWC Clearfield page on Facebook. Continue to check that out and make sure that you're following that group for more up-to-date information as far as when IWC is coming back to the central Pennsylvania region. Tom, back to you.
All right, and as you can see there, like we always mention, we got the P3 shirts available in my section of the Gould Gaming shop. So head over to Gould Gaming and get yourself a Pittsburgh Piledriver Podcast T-shirt. That is a mouthful. And then like Beef said, we got the group page there on Facebook, created by Mr. Sean Tischler. So that said, let's bring ourselves up here. What's going on? Good morning, Beef. Jordan already. Beef is doing his best.
Olé!
LAX.
Time, baby. Sundays are Yinzer time.
Jordan says there should be some kind of music while we wait. I'm working on that, actually. That is a mouthful, I know, right? For some reason, if you're watching over on YouTube, we are live on Facebook and YouTube both, but for reasons unbeknownst to me, I can't seem to bring up the YouTube feed, so I don't know what's going on there, but oh well. We'll figure it out. Figure it out.
Figure it out.
I told him figure it out.
Figure it out.
So big week in wrestling this week, actually. Wednesday night, NXT and AEW, good shows as always. What was your takeaway from either? What was your biggest takeaway from either one of the shows there, Beef?
So, I mean, honestly, I felt that AEW kind of slipped a little bit this week. I don't feel that their product was as good as what it normally is. I don't know why, but I just, it now, I do have it at, upper echelon like expectations, so it is fair that's probably high expectations. The tag team main event was great, but
Absolutely.
It felt kind of rushed. It felt like they ran out of time and they were like, okay guys, just go out there and just do exactly what you worked on, no more. And but I mean, it was a good match nonetheless, but kind of rushed.
Yeah, I was saying to you in our group chat, I was like, I wasn't sure how I felt about the roll up for the win for the championships, but I mean, it is a wrestling move, so I'm kind of like, all right, I was a little surprised. I wasn't sure where they were going to go with that in the direction of either SCU or or the Lucha Brothers with that. And we're good on the YouTube chat now. I got it back up and running there.
Awesome.
So if you guys haven't already, if you're not watching on YouTube, make sure to go subscribe to our YouTube channel and spread the word. And links to our other our sponsors and everything like that are in the description of the video on YouTube. But go ahead, Beef.
And comment and like, and
Absolutely.
If hell, if you want to throw up a Stump the Chumps as a comment on one of our YouTube videos, have at it, man. Like, that's whatever works for you. We love hearing from you guys. So yeah, subscribe, comment, like the videos. Let us know that you're out there watching.
Yep.
But,
Um,
so I thought whenever you said that about the ending of the tag team match, I thought you meant about SCU winning.
oh no,
Which,
no. Yeah, I'm fine with that.
yeah,
I'm
I
good.
mean,
Either
yeah.
way, I was fine with it. I personally had no issues either way.
I think the only team that I didn't want to see win was the Dark Order. I think every other team in the tournament I had no problem winning,
Yeah,
including Best Friends, but especially Best Friends.
yeah. What I'm trying to think if there was anything else notable with AEW that week besides the tag team stuff.
The Inner Circle kind of like dominating Proud and Power, Pride and Powerful, or Proud and Powerful, whatever. LAX.
Yeah.
They're forever going to be LAX. Beating up the Rock and Roll Express and then taking it to the Bucks. I
Poor
don't know.
Dust,
It was
poor
it,
poor
it was
Dusty
good,
Bones.
you know.
Yeah, it's yeah, I see there's a little bit of a lag. I am getting some skip frames, not too sure why. I don't know if that's I don't know. But yeah, I am aware of it. Thank you. I appreciate that, Jordan. Um it's a plethora of technology all running at once is what it is, I think, but that's okay. We'll what can we do? Um but yeah, that I had no problem with the end result. Yeah, it was just more so like how they won the match. That was kind of what I was a little iffy on. Um, NXT was really good in my opinion. Solid card. Was it? Now I'm trying to remember because like it feels like I don't know. My last 2 weeks have been kind of a wrestling blur. So this week here on NXT was whenever Balor came out and explained himself. Correct?
Yes, it was a short promo, but it was dynamite. You know, no pun intended. I felt like it was a really good promo.
Yeah, I loved it, especially when he said something about he's like, you know, I laid down to somebody else with a mask, and now I'm taking my mask
Yeah,
off. I love that little nod. Just like it kind of feels like you know, like obviously, like even though NXT is WWE, it still feels like a nod to like just kind of sticking it to Raw and SmackDown and saying like NXT is something completely different, which by all rights it really is.
and breaking the
Stylistic.
fourth wall and breaking kayfabe a little bit. You know, like
Yep.
saying I laid down for him is meaning like he's basically saying I did the job, which is you know pretty much unheard of as far as like kayfabe breaks, I guess.
Yeah. Um, Hey, Amanda's Gaming Fest. Welcome. Thank you, Amanda. I appreciate you coming in. Share, spread the word of the greatness of the P3 with all your wrestling friends if you have any that are into it. Yeah, NXT, good show overall. Really love the idea of a women's war games match coming up here for the next NXT Takeover event. That's going to be pretty awesome. I love how they are. I love how they're taking chances now and doing more stuff with the women. I mean, obviously, like you have to have the talent that can do that. So it should be really interesting with the crop of people that they got to do that.
So reportedly, not to cut you off, but,
No,
but
go
since we're
ahead.
talking about war games, reportedly there are going to be the women's war game and the men's war game, and I've heard reports that there's supposedly going to be a war games at Survivor Series. So that tells me that either it's going to be the men's war game at Survivor Series for NXT, or they're going to have 3 war games over the course of a weekend, which doesn't sound right, but it makes sense since they're like tri-branding Survivor Series, which I love, by the way.
Yeah.
It makes sense if they put that the NXT men's war games on Survivor Series, has the NXT women's war games main event NXT, and then you could have like singles matches for the titles so that you can get Undisputed Era defending their belts on War Games, and then have Undisputed Era involved in a War Games match at Survivor Series.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering how they're going to do stuff with because like you said they we kind of broached the subject there. So I didn't see the promo originally, whatever it was, that or whatever advertisement that they had said, like kind of what Triple H was talking about in his promo on SmackDown about how he's like you
They
want
announced the blood money, yeah.
yeah, he's
Probably
like
why I
you
didn't see it because no one watched.
that's okay. Yeah. So you know what? Let's talk about that. So that promo was, or the vignette or whatever was announced at the Crown Jewel event on Thursday. Let's talk about it. Actually, I didn't watch Crown Jewel, but I did hear some results. I know you read the highlights, right?
I actually watched the Seth Rollins versus Bray match. It was like as I was working, so I didn't see it all, but I was very underwhelmed.
Okay, that's what you were telling me. Like nowhere near as good as the Hell in the Cell match, but thankfully we got one. There was two good things that I took away from the Crown Jewel event, and Jordan says he watched it. I know. There's probably a lot of people that did. Again, we've kind of stated our stance on the whole
We shit
Saudi
on it,
shows.
but some people out there enjoy it, so that's cool.
Yeah. So there was two good things to take away. One, Bray Wyatt becoming Universal Champion, which that's awesome. I it shouldn't have had to happen. We shouldn't have had to wait for it at the at the Crown Jewel event. They should have pulled the trigger at Hell in the Cell, but then they decided to opt for this whatever ending they did, and we've talked about that and exhausted that. So so now they put the title on Bray. Great. Now my question is, now what moving forward? Because there's more stuff, and we'll get into like with what happened on SmackDown, but it kind of raises a lot of questions with what they're going to do with Bray. And the second thing was a women's match happening over in Saudi Arabia, which on one hand I'm happy for it. I'm ecstatic for them, and congratulations to Lacey Evans and Natalia for being the first women to have a match over in Saudi Arabia. Which, I mean, if people aren't aware, that's kind of a big deal. But go
On
ahead.
television.
On television.
I believe that Sasha Banks and Alexa Bliss had a match that was non-televised. I don't know if it was in Saudi Arabia, but it was someone in the United Arab Emirates or whatever the hell they're called over there. Basically the Saudi kingdom.
Okay.
Sasha and Alexa had a match because they had to do the same like Power Ranger style get up. But yes, Natty versus
Lacey Evans.
Lacey Evans, thank you. I want to say Peyton Royce. Natty versus Evans was the first televised match, as far as I know.
Yeah. And
Still
then, the women. Jordan saying the women's match was good. The Brock fight was stupid. I mean, I saw the highlight from the Brock match, and pretty much the highlight was the match. They like kind of reviewed that on SmackDown. So I'm like, all right, well,
okay. Didn't they show the whole match on SmackDown?
I'm pretty sure they did, because I heard it was pretty much a squash match. So I'm sitting there and I'm waiting for like a highlight reel, and I was like, oh, this is literally the match because it was a squash. Okay, whatever. So there's that.
I mean, it was set up like an MMA fight, though. Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, which is weird.
It wasn't meant to be like a professional wrestling match.
Right, which I don't think. That felt even more weird to me. Like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how I felt about that. It's like, it's supposed to be professional wrestling, not you're not in the octagon. Like, I don't know.
But here's the thing. I've started already with the here's the thing. Oh boy.
That's okay.
So
that's okay.
You have AEW out there, who is more or less your direct competitor. And you can say what you want about NWA, Impact, and MLW, but I mean AEW is the one that's getting all the eyes on the product. So they're offering you a multitude of different styles, different wrestling, tag team wrestling, 6-man wrestling, conventional like great wrestling, women's wrestling, Joshi wrestling, hardcore wrestling. They haven't really dipped their toe into like MMA style, but with Hager on the staff, it wouldn't surprise me. This, I think, is WWE kind of answering that and saying, hey, we can present styles too, watch us. I don't know if it worked, but
yeah, it's a good point. I get what you're saying there. I guess it's one of those things we'll have to see if that's something that they continue to do moving forward, if they're going to work more with the UFC or not. If that was just kind of a one-off thing just for this feud, which was weird because
Kane is signed, I think.
Well, yeah,
right?
I thought, from all accounts, we've heard we've heard that Cain Velasquez is signed with WWE. Now, what that's actually going to entail with him, who knows? Like, I don't know if he's just got, if he's signed to any sort of developmental deal, like just working down in the performance center, or like, I don't know.
No chance. No, you don't pay that guy millions of dollars to get down and like work in the performance center. Now he may, Velasquez seems like he's a guy who respects the craft. He busted his ass in AAA, and before he signed with WWE, there were some reports that AEW should go out and get him to be like their answer for the Brock Lesnar style.
Yeah.
So I mean, but I mean, you don't go out and pay him millions just to like work with the scrubs at the performance center. So we'll see. But no, I think this is telling. I think we'll see him in main events and pretty much main events only, and maybe even like a very Brock Lesnar style contract. So
Yeah,
whatever.
I wasn't sure. I mean, I knew they paid him a shit ton for this event, but I wasn't sure if they also had something else in place where they were going to have him signed to like any sort of developmental contract to be, to go work down in the performance center so he could get good. Because like Jordan's saying, he's not that good in the ring. He needs more time to learn to wrestle, which I agree with. I mean, that's
He's
unless you
not bad. I think he's on par with a lot of these guys who are crossover guys, but like I said, he has worked with AAA, so like he does have some
how do you
history.
let me interject. How do you feel Kane has been from what you've seen on AAA? How do you feel he compares to like Ronda Rousey?
No, I mean, so Ronda is a different beast, and I mean she got a lot of shit for her time in WWE, which some of it is well credited. But like when Ronda puts her mind to something, she kind of swallows it in, and she kind of like becomes that. She busted her ass. Who did she train with? Was it Kendrick? I think she trained with Kendrick
Might
a
have.
lot, like the
Bri-
Kendrick.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Brian Kendrick actually does a lot of training with different people. He was training with Eva Marie whenever she was making her comeback, which by accounts
Hmm.
like when she did come back, I don't know why they didn't. I don't know what happened with them as far as squashing a story or angle with her, but she did look a little bit better by all accounts as far as her in ring work with that short time that she was back, and then I don't know if that was I think it was they took her off for a while and she went to train and then she came back and then there was that issue with her failing the wellness policy or whatever because certain medications
Yep.
she was on, which was she was allowed to be on. She had been on before, but something got mixed up logistically that they didn't realize that she was on it this last time or something. I don't know, but hard to keep track of. Um, so yeah, there was all that happened. We mentioned about the women's match in Saudi Arabia. The only thing I didn't like, and I know it's baby steps, and I shouldn't expect that immediate gratification of like, it should be just how it is over there being here. Like it should be the normal over there. But it's still, again, it's still history making. But it sucks that they basically had to be covered up like head to toe in like giant XL T-shirts. They look like it's something they're wearing to bed. With like black leotards underneath it. Ugh, it's still bullshit, but you know
I
what?
get it
Yeah,
because you can't I mean you can't roll into someone else's country and like religion and everything and be like, here's how we do it because we're Americans. I mean, the fact that we had a women's match where they didn't have to wear burqas is a huge thing. So I mean,
yeah.
little by little, man, hashtag prayers to Saudi Arabia. Hopefully they come into the 21st century at some point.
Well, hopefully, by all accounts, we won't be having any more WWE shows over there because we'll get into that. Actually, that's probably a good segue. So,
That's the big takeaway from the show is the aftermath.
yeah. So, for anybody that's not privy, there's a lot of rumor and speculation going around that the issues that they had with getting the superstars and whatever other WWE personnel, talent, whoever, back from Saudi Arabia for the Smackdown show. Supposedly, now is you got the one story saying it's mechanical issues, blah blah blah. Then what Atlas Airlines, I believe it was, they released a statement saying we apologize for the mechanical issues, etc., etc. Everybody's spinning that story. Now there's rumors going around saying that, well, no, it wasn't that. It was an issue with the Saudis not paying Vince for certain matches or something like that, and he pulled the live feed or pulled the feed that was going on over in Saudi. Like it was still going on the network over here and everything, but as far as people getting to view it in Saudi, it's being reported that Vince said, "Cut it," because he's pay me my money. Um, And then I'm hearing that there's also like their contract with the Saudis are up, so Vince is saying no more shows. He's done with them. Or now I'm hearing also like no more shows until he gets his money. Um, Shed some light. Anything you got?
if if you believe the Twitter sphere and the Facebook sphere and the social media, Hugo Savanovich, and I probably just butchered his last name, the longtime WWE Spanish announcer, and I don't know if he's still there or not, but I think he is. He said that the Saudis owe Vince money, about 300K per show of the last two shows.
Okay.
Now, Uncle Dave chimed in because, it's Uncle Dave's job to speculate.
Right.
He said that the money's not anywhere close to those numbers. I don't know. What we know is that, ultimately the speculation is this. The Saudis didn't pay Vince what they agreed to. So Vince took a Vince fit, said cut the feed to Saudi Arabia, and said no more events over there. Vince took his ball and went home. And Vince was one of like 12 guys to get out of the country. Vince, Lesnar, because Lesnar had his own private jet, and a few select others. And then rumor has it, again, this is all speculation at this point, because, I mean, let's be honest, mechanical reasons, but it's going to delay a flight for like 14 hours.
Yeah, and that, and they're also saying like if McMahon wanted to, that he could have chartered a flight out of there. So the rumors also being that now that there's that speculation that Vince didn't get paid his money, so he's like, we're done, whatever, and is pulling whatever feed. Now supposedly because of that, then whenever they were getting ready to go leave, the Saudi princes or whoever were just like, nope, we're gonna ground you here. And like
detained to move. Yep.
Yeah, and they so they were basically pulling a power move diplomatically or whatever to keep the personnel from getting on board and giving them a hard time with their visas and stuff like that. So here's the big takeaway from it. Lesson learned: stop doing shows over in Saudi Arabia. Hey.
Well, and if Vince wasn't to that point before, he's going to be after this, because so I don't know who's paying more money, Saudi Arabia or Fox.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to find out.
Keep in mind that when they signed this deal with Saudi Arabia, it was, I think, like a 10-year deal or something. So it was not just like a 2-year. This was supposed to be like a big landmark deal.
Now, how long have they been doing the Saudi shows now? For what, 2
years, maybe 3?
Oh God, that hurts.
So now the other thing worth noting is that there wasn't the typical buzz about the show on like the Saudi media outlets like that as there had been before. I don't know if that has to do with the people of the government. I don't know if that has to do with what's going on, but or with this specific issue. But yeah, reportedly, it didn't get it did not get the kind of media play that it normally would have in that area. So that may be feeding into this as well. But bottom line is, I'm sure I feel like like Fox is probably the higher payer, and because of the shit that the Princes pulled, again allegedly, it detained a bunch of SmackDown superstars, so they had to basically punch up SmackDown with a women's roster, Daniel Bryan, Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn, and the NXT roster, which actually worked out wonderfully and actually helped the ratings improve.
Yeah.
But, at the end of the day, was a huge dick move.
Yeah. That said, perfect segue. SmackDown was, of all the Friday night SmackDown so far, and I know we're still early into things, but this was by leaps and bounds the best one that I've seen. The one that I enjoyed watching the most, end to end, bell to bell. And I don't know if that's saying something because it's just because it's chock full of all the NXT guys and stuff like that, and I love NXT more. I don't know if that's a bias thing or it's just honestly like that it had the best matches of the past couple of weeks and everything like that. Like it felt like it actually set something up because of the stuff moving into Survivor Series with this whole Raw versus SmackDown versus NXT. It actually felt like continuity, you know, going throughout the show. You know what I mean?
And an invasion angle will always work. I don't care who's booking what. Anytime you have a rival invading your show, it's always going to work. It worked with the NWO. It worked with the original NXT, the NXT 7 or whatever the hell they were.
The Nexus and stuff.
The Nexus, right?
Yeah.
You know, like it's just a compelling storyline so to see these guys and gals come out and like run roughshod over the SmackDown roster, and let's not mince words. Like there was not one match where the NXT people looked like they were developmental. They all looked like they belonged, and they all won every single match. So,
oh, absolutely, and I'm glad that they did that too. I'm glad that they put over the NXT talent. Does it make it a little formulaic? Yeah, I mean, if you're a smart mark, whatever. I mean, like, perfect example is
I thought they were going to go the other way, actually.
You thought
unfortunately,
so?
I thought they were going to squash all the NXT talent on SmackDown, so I wasn't looking forward to it.
I honestly thought I thought with the Tommaso Ciampa and Miz match, I thought they might have gone that way and squashed Ciampa. Not like in a squash match, but they would have had Miz go over. Right. I'm really glad they didn't. And then obviously, like with the main event with Adam Cole and Daniel Bryan for the NXT title, I was like, well, there's no way they're gonna have Cole lose it. I mean, like
that would have been awesome, though.
That would have been insane, and that would have been shocking, and I probably would have gotten up and thrown something at the TV or near the TV.
I'm not rooting for Adam Cole to lose, but it would have put Daniel Bryan on NXT, which is something that I think would be amazing.
There is that. So I mean, they could have worked it a couple different ways. I'm glad. I almost thought I was like 99% sure, because you can never be 100% sure. You never know what's going to happen. They could pull the rug out from underneath you. I was like 99.9% sure that Cole was going to retain, but there were a few moments where I was like, and I thought, I'm like, is Triple H going to get involved? Are they going to do some sort of dusty finish? And they had Cole win clean, which I'm like,
that's huge. That's a big deal.
That's a big boost for Cole. So I mean that whole show was awesome, and the promo at the end with Triple H, being like, he's like, we fired the first shot. We are NXT. Loved it. Couldn't have gone off any better. The only question I had, and I actually mentioned this to my girlfriend because she amused me and entertained me Wednesday night whenever I wasn't feeling well and I didn't do the streams. I just ended up watching both NXT and AEW like back to back that night. So whenever I watched NXT, saw the and I can't believe we forgot to mention this, the women's tag team title match with Kabuki Warriors versus Team Kick. That'd be Dakota Kai and Tegan Nox. Love that tag team. In general, they're both awesome. Glad to see they're both back from injuries and stuff like that. But on SmackDown, Dakota Kai was out there at the end, but she didn't come out with Tegan Nox as the tag team when her and Rhea Ripley came out. So I'm wondering if Dakota Kai got a little banged up and tweaked a little something. That's what my girlfriend was thinking. Because I was like, wait, man, yeah. I was like, there's Dakota.
That's what I heard.
Oh, speaking of Tegan Nox and Rhea Ripley, can I just say, kudos to Renee Young for taking a boot to the face like a champ. Holy God. Did you see that?
No, I wanted to watch SmackDown, but I was previously indisposed, and I thought it was DVRing, but it was not DVRing because I love Armstrong. That's the second DVR fuck up this week. So hooray! Yeah. But no, I read what happened, but I didn't get to see it. So someone kicked Renee in the face. Yeah.
So so Tegan Nox was her, and I forget whoever. I can't remember who it was that. I can't remember which one of Fire Desire it was, But they kind of like were kind of like one went to throw and one went to throw Tegan, and she kind of like reversed and like threw her over the announce table, and whoever went across the announce table inadvertently, this was not planned, like Renee took a foot to the face. And like she even mentioned it afterwards. She's like, "Yeah, she's like, I probably got a bloody nose now. Thanks, guys." Like, but man, I mean, she like took it
Because
like a
she's
champ.
fucking John Moxley's mom, but she's fucking John Moxley. So I mean, you can only imagine what that's got to be like.
Oh,
right?
That's a whole nother.
But I mean,
that's like, a whole nother podcast.
I can't imagine John Moxley like I don't remember his actual name, but I can't remember I can't imagine Moxley like putting up with like to be politically incorrect, pussified shit in his house. Wipe some dirt on it, do your job, get it done. So like she definitely screams that to me. Like, I'm not gonna put up with your shit. I think if someone got in her face, I think that she definitely shoved them back. So
the safe word is shield.
right, exactly.
So let's see. What do we got here? Just looking, a whole lot of Jordan popping in here. I appreciate you being so active, Jordan. He's saying he enjoys heel Finn Balor, as do I, and I'm sure Beef does too. I'm excited for that. Said Lies, you won't throw nothing at that little 20-inch. You're talking about that's more than a 20-inch TV. You're talking about the second display. I'd throw something at that, but no. I wouldn't ever actually throw anything at my TV, regardless of how upset I was. I did used to have a like a little foam brick for like the Steelers stuff, and it was called the Bad Call Brick.
Brick. Yeah, man.
I don't know what I ended up doing with it. I don't know if I tossed it away somewhere because I just never use it. I don't know.
I have a little yellow penalty flag and a little like red like challenge flag that I'll huck at the TV because they're microscopic. They're not gonna hurt anything. So when I get pissed off, I just throw them, and my wife freaks out, and then I can't watch football for a week, and it's terrible. So I'm kidding. She does not let me, but she doesn't get pissed off about it.
Yeah. And then Jordan had asked me in the chat, what have we thought about the all the glitch? Did we see the glitches on the WWE 2K20 game? It's been pretty bad from the get-go. However, the other day they did release a big patch that had corrected a lot of issues going on. I literally, you think of it like supposedly, because I haven't really played a whole lot. I haven't really played through any of the game since this patch. However, I was able to load up my created character and all of the P3 crew as our created characters to come out to our big stable entrance, so I was happy with that. However, whenever I did that, it apparently erased part of Poot's beard, which, you know what, honestly, it doesn't look bad. I don't know if you go back and watching the video. He's kind of got the old Triple H.
Like he had the Lemmy.
Yeah, he's got the Lemmy going on with the mustache down in the goatee and up into the sideburns.
He's had that before, actually. So it
so it actually works either way. So if it if it works, it works. But yeah, supposedly there was a lot of things that got corrected in that. Actually, if I can find it.
What gets me?
Go ahead with that.
Two things get me. One is the removal of the created title system. Now they said that they're going to bring that back with a patch later on, but like I don't understand how you lose something like that. And then two, like the graphics are a step backwards. Someone put up a side-by-side of Bianca Belair's entrance from 2K20 and 2K19. And like, I understand that they corrected the hair physics, so thank God for that. But man, like 2K20 looked it looked like it was 2K17 versus 2K19, which looked polished and well defined. I mean, so I forgot about this, but last year, towards the tail end of the WWE 2K19 developmental cycle, I think 2K changed their production crew for the game. And so, like, basically, the 2K19 was like the Pittsburgh Steelers Super Bowl 43, where Tomlin was handed a great team and won. They were handed a great game and they won. 2K20 is like the Steelers ever since then, which is, fumbling, they're trying,
They're
but I
trying.
mean, it was just not on par with what it had been, and so you can tell that there are two separate production teams that worked on that game, worked on those two games separately.
Yeah, that's what I had heard from you and a few other people too. Supposedly, like I said, this first patch, the fact that this patch had to address these many issues was kind of crazy. But I'm gonna run through it here. Gameplay and controls, graphics and clipping, hair physics, like you had mentioned, hit detection and aiming. That's a big one. Interactions with tables, ladders, steel steps, and other objects, referee actions, on-screen button prompts, characters warping or moving unnaturally around the arena, crashes and freezing, which was a big thing for the created characters because I could load up Beef's character and Poot's character. I couldn't load up myself and Ransom. My daughter made a character with me the other day, which I'll have to show you. It's adorable.
The other day.
A little crazy and a little hodgepodge, but it's what she wanted, and I'm not going to deny her that.
Those are the best, man.
So crashes and freezing, image downloads, entrance and attires, universe mode, editing and saving, custom and created superstars and creation modes, which, like I had mentioned, commentary and sound effects, and online stability, matchmaking, desyncs, and lag. That is a lot of crap to have to release in one patch with, like...
This is your first 2K... This is your first 2K game in some time,
it is,
right?
actually. Yeah, it is actually, because I used to have... I bought 2K17 and I really didn't do anything with it. And now keep in mind, that was like after the fact. Like I only bought 2K17 like after 18 or 19 was already out, just because I didn't have a PS4 yet. So I wanted something semi-relevant with, or semi-recent as well. And Jordan hits the nail on the head. The game was rushed. It felt like it was rushed, and it felt like, like you said, two separate teams working on stuff, like how there was that miscommunication and how there was people that overlooked all this stuff. I'd rather wait a little bit for a game and have it get pushed back and have it come out good than have it come out rushed, because when it first came out, we couldn't even those of us that pre-ordered, like myself, didn't have access to the Fiend, the whole bump in the night stuff, a lot of the 2K showcase stuff or whatever. It was kind of like, well, what was the point of me pre-ordering? Hey, Kato's in here.
Kato!
Hooray!
Honestly, like the first patch for most WWE 2K games have been pretty massive like that, because and this is kind of a video game rant, I suppose, but like any game is released anymore as like a beta.
Yeah.
And like for the first 6 months to a year, it's buggy as hell, and we are all just beta testers, like Fallout 76, for example. So
stick with us, those of you that aren't gamers. We have a point going forward here.
But I mean, that's been my typical experience with the WWE 2K games. Like when they come out, they're a mess. There's X amount wrong with them, and then the dev team has to go, okay, no, we're gonna fix it. Like last year, they they removed the option for elimination matches. So you could have four-man matches, 7-man matches, 5-man, 8-man, whatever, but there was no elimination.
Yeah.
So they added that as a patch, I think like a month in. That's why I always get my WWE games like at the Black Friday sales, because they're like $40, and I know by that point it's a workable game.
Yeah. I mean, if you're gonna if you want the all the other stuff with like the bump in the night and stuff, I mean, yeah, you could go buy the DLC eventually, I'm sure. So I mean, it all works out. You either have it.
It's actually up now for $15.
So there we go.
So like,
I mean,
even whenever I go to get it on Black Friday for $40 and pay $15 for the bump in the night, I'm still ahead. Like $5 or whatever. So
yeah, I think the only thing that the biggest thing for pre-ordering that was to get that stuff, which we thought we were going to get right off the bat, and then like you get the extra money, arenas and accelerator points and stuff for the card game. So I mean, there's that. I ended up saying that code to one of my buddies because I guess he actually does the Superstars card game. I don't, so whatever. So I mean, there is that. It's nice to have all that stuff. Kato's asking Beef. He's like, I'm trying to figure out why Beef is wearing a Bell jersey. Oh.
Well, because Kato, not all of us make superstar professional wrestler money, and not all of us can afford to go out and buy brand new jerseys. I'm working on it. I'm probably going to get I'm probably going to get either a Watt jersey or maybe Benny Snell. I don't know.
And then as soon as you buy it, they're going to trade them away.
That works.
I haven't bought a jersey in such a long time. I still have I have a Roethlisberger shirt and a Farrier jersey.
Oh, by the way, I love Farrier. This was like $25, I think, and it's great quality.
Yeah.
I ordered from a company called DHL, or no, I'm sorry, not DHL, DH Gate.
Okay.
They have super cheap jerseys, so a little plug there.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, there was all that stuff going on with WWE. Hopefully now 2K20 will be a little bit better, because after the last couple of weeks, I think WWE kind of needs a win in the column, and then like you said, that turning the negative into the positive, like the whole Saudi thing was kind of a big clusterfuck. Let's not lie. Thankfully, it did turn into something great using the NXT superstars on SmackDown, so we did get something good out of it. Go ahead.
So here's my question, Tom.
Yeah.
And I don't want to dive super deep because I definitely want to talk about the other boneheads on this, but here's my opinion. I think that this was supposed to be a one and done. That the NXT guys coming up and being on the show was a one-time only thing. And basically they used and abused them. But because the ratings took a huge rebound, and we're talking, yes, we know that they were in the toilet last week because they were on FX. Okay, we get around FS1. I don't remember.
Yeah, which my DVR screwed that one up, so I missed that one, but
which we get that. And
yeah.
But I mean, even the couple weeks prior, this week's episode was the highest rated episode that was not the debut, which they trotted out, Stone Cold The Rock, and they had other legends on there, obviously, but so for this to be the highest rated episode that wasn't their debut was huge. So I think that tells me if they're smart,
yeah,
they will continue to interweave this whole thing with NXT in, but we'll see.
Nice. So yeah, I mean, we're definitely gonna have. I'm sure we're gonna hear. Hopefully, we're gonna hear more coming out of the Saudi Arabia fallout and everything like that. Hopefully, we'll have more to talk about on whenever we record on Tuesday. And of course, we'll see what happens here on Raw. We'll see. Maybe we'll get some NXT people on Raw tomorrow night as well. You never know. It's nice that we have that. If they have that availability, I don't want to overuse it because I don't want one show or another to feel like they have to depend on another roster to come in and fill the void. By all rights, Raw and SmackDown both have about equal rosters, in my opinion. As long as they book the people right and aren't using them in schlocky angles like the whole Rusev Lana bullshit with Bobby Lashley. Honestly, they should be able to, to do plenty with the rosters that they have. So like I said, again, the fact that this week's SmackDown was the highest rated, that kind of tells you all right, you have the talent, you just got to use them right, because by all rights, they should be able to pull the same amount of ratings that they did this week with the talent that they have on SmackDown. Now I get it, that talent wasn't there this week, but hopefully moving forward they do,
Well, and I wonder how much of the ratings came from people that were just tuning in to see the car crash, the word was out that this was not going to be your typical SmackDown, so people wanted to see what was going to happen. So I wonder if maybe some of that's not there too.
Kato, I love Kato already. He says, "Hi, I'm old. Wrestling games haven't been good since the N64. No mercy, baby. Woo! Diggity dog." That fucking game, I love it. And you know what? I'm still stuck on the Intercontinental storyline where you're already the champ, and then at the end you have to defend in a handicap match against Triple H and X-Pac. Can't friggin' beat it. So whatever. Jordan says, poor bad angle Lana and Bobby, like we've seen this years ago with other wrestlers. It's old and boring. Yeah, like it just doesn't serve a purpose. I don't
Oh,
get
this is
it.
a review thing I was mentioning. So, and again, I've been trying to be true to my word. Since the Fiend lost at Hell in the Cell, I have canceled my WWE Network. I have basically not watched any Raw or SmackDown in like 3 weeks. So, but I do keep up because we do this.
Yeah.
So the main event segment this week was the divorce court shit with Lana and Rusev and Lashley and that whole shebang.
Oh,
And the ratings fucking tanked on that like quarter hour or whatever it was.
I don't
Like
doubt
they
it.
fell in the shitter hard. So hopefully that sends a message that hey, this angle sucks. Let's do something else.
Yeah. I hope you're right because I mean, like, I don't get it. I don't get the point of it. It's stupid. And then like here's the thing that makes no sense to me. I talk at times about getting on we'll be fair. I'll be constructive criticism to be fair. So AEW at times I question some of the ring psychology, and that's just going to take time. Because a lot of those guys, I think it's just like spot, spot, spot. And it's like, well, why did you do this? Like, there's not a psychology to it. In this case, with the storyline, creative has no there's no psychology to it because Lana left Rusev because he was supposedly a sex addict and wanted to put a baby in her. But yes, then she goes and does all this over sexualized stuff with Bobby Lashley. Like, it makes no sense. Like,
you're gonna become Kato's favorite member of the podcast because whenever you said about spot, I'm sure that just delighted his ears because he.
I mean, don't get me wrong.
If there's a dude and Kato, I promise I'm not just trying to be a kiss ass. Like if there's a dude who gets fucking ring psychology, it is fucking Casanova Kato. He knows it's not how hard you work, it's how smart you work.
Right. There needs to be a reason. Like, okay, so the psychology of the let's take it back to the Hell in the Cell match between Bray Wyatt and Seth Rollins. There was a good bit of psychology through that. The only thing that made no sense to me, like that they could have done differently, like we discussed, was having a few things done differently. Like if the ref said, if whenever the ref said to Seth, like instead of him saying, this isn't you don't want to do this, like if he said, if you do this, I'm going to have to throw out the match, that would have made more sense. That would have made the outcome a little bit more bearable. People still would have been pissed about it, I'm sure. But it would have took the sting out a little bit. It's like, putting on the topical numbing cream a little bit, just a little. Yeah, barely. But there needs to be, like, you don't want to do stuff just for no reason. Like, it's awesome to see a fantastic high spot, but then when you see like 4 or 5 in a row and then like somebody's kicking out of everything, like to throw back to, I think it was All Out with whenever Lucha Brothers and with the Escalera de la Muerta, when they did the Canadian Destroyer off the ladder, that should have been it. Like that should kill somebody, and he still kicked out. And I'm like, where do we go from here? So I mean, that's just little things like that. It needs to make sense. There needs to be a purpose. Even if the purpose is, for example, the whole stuff with R-Truth and the 24/7 title, the purpose of that is it's kind of a comedy relief. So whenever he goes out and starts talking about the the European 48 7-Eleven 24/7 title, I laugh my ass off, even though it's the most ridiculous. It is pretty ridiculous. I still say it's not going to be here like next year, but we'll see. I don't know. I could be wrong. Let's see. What did Jordan have to say? He said they needed to turn Rusev babyface, so that's why the dumb angle they gave him. Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. Like,
they had fucking Rusev Day. Like, the crowd handed them, here's your face turn.
That was it. Yeah, exactly.
Like, no. We got something better. No, you don't.
Exactly. And then Jordan said about AEW bringing in Midnight Express and putting one of them through the stage. Yeah, it's just
Rock and
asserting,
roll.
asserting, Rock and Roll Express. It's just asserting LAX, whatever you want to. I'm gonna call them LAX, but Santana and
But they
Ortiz.
are.
Yeah, it's just asserting them as more bigger heels in the heel faction that is the Inner Circle with Chris Jericho and that. So that's fine. I'm okay with that as long as they're able to take the bump, and they agree to it. Obviously, like that's then have at it. I mean, hell, look, with WWE's put Mae Young through tables and parts stages with Bubba Ray doing that, giving her a power bomb through a friggin' table or
It's a
through the
hell of a
stage.
rub.
Yeah,
It's a hell of a rub for no, I get it. Like, the Rock and Roll Express are in their 70s or whatever. Like, I get that, and they're old men. But I mean, still, like, for a lot of people, the Rock and Roll Express were like the team to beat in the 80s, and like, I think the late 70s and the 80s. So like, a lot of people really have them as one of the best tag teams of all time. So for Santana and Ortiz to be able to kind of lay waste to them and say, "This is our time now," it's that I think makes sense.
yeah, and that ties into AEW doing the right thing as far as using your legends to give the rub to the younger talent. WWE hits and misses with it. They depend a lot on the riding the coattails of the Attitude Era and stuff like that. Because who's ever going to get a bigger pop? Stone Cold or like Seth Rollins? Obviously Stone Cold. And I've mentioned this before. Unfortunately, it's kind of always going to be that way. The Attitude Era is always going to get that bigger pop because it was such a bigger deal then, because there was competition going on. You kind of gotta get away from that and try to focus on your younger talent. But again, good on AEW doing that, bringing them in to give the rub to Santana and Ortiz, doing it the right way. Yeah, does it give them a lot of heat? Exactly. That's the point. It's giving them more heat. People are going to be talking about it more. I can't believe they did that. Blah, 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 to all the people that are marking out, like, oh, I can't believe they would do that to these legends. Well, that's the point. That's the reaction we want from you. So, Gould Gaming, Taylor, what's going on? Welcome to the stream, Taylor. Thank you for coming in. And as we mentioned,
thanks for the awesome shirts.
Yes, and as we mentioned at the beginning of the stream when we were thanking the sponsors, you can get Pittsburgh Pile Driver Podcast T-shirts with this logo here, bam, over at Gould Gaming. So go check it out. Jordan says Mae Young gave birth to a hand. Yeah, that happened. So I mean, that's I don't know how that ties it, but I don't know who that gives the rub to at all. Ugh.
I will repeat it again. No, you don't, WWE. You don't have the right answers.
That was a pretty atrocious thing. Although, to WWE's credit, I will say it was pretty funny when they had the 1 anniversary thing, when they had the guy in the hand costume come back and he's like, "Hi, I'm Mae Young's son." I was like, "Oh God." And it's kind of sucks for people that are younger that be like, "I don't get it." Well, just be like, "You're not missing much. Don't worry about it."
That, I think, when WWE doesn't take themselves too seriously and they're able to like make fun of a previous decision or previous angle, I think that can lead to some of the most intriguing television, to be honest.
Oh, absolutely. I think that goes for anybody. If as long as you can poke fun at yourself, well, like I said, I kind of don't like it, but it's growing on me a little bit. The whole Shorty Gable stuff, the fact that that's what he's doing. He's poking fun at himself and turning a negative into a positive. I get that's what maybe that's what they're trying to do, or maybe that's just kind of more of a forced angle to like, hey, don't let anybody get you down and just use this stuff against them. But if that's the message they're going for, but again, if you are able to poke fun at yourself, generally you'll get it'll get over, because I mean, you don't want to be too self-deprecating, but like we poke fun at ourselves with the like for all 4 of you listeners out there and stuff like that, because we're having fun with it, so you have to be able to have fun and make something of it. Yeah, I don't know. What else was there? Is there anything else that was there big since Wednesday this week in wrestling? We covered NXT, we covered AEW. I do have a question.
Oh, the title swap. I mean, I guess the title swap's worth talking about. Maybe we'll save that for our show, like the big show.
Yeah, well, enlighten me real quick. Is it confirmed that the titles are switching? Like WWE Championship's going to Raw and Universal's coming to SmackDown?
I mean, Lesnar said he quit SmackDown and that he's going to show up on Raw to dominate Ray. So, I mean, it's not A plus B equals C, but I mean, it sure feels that way.
Yeah, like I, I would much rather, I would much rather have Lesnar stay on SmackDown regardless. Like, I would rather have the WWE Championship stay on SmackDown for right now, or I don't know. I just don't want Bray Wyatt on SmackDown. I don't want Bray Wyatt near where Fox can get any influence on him because I feel like Heyman would do such a better job with Wyatt than Bruce Pritchard would. That's just my own personal opinion. But
I hear you, but at the same time, I think that Fox will bring honestly, in my opinion, I think that Fox will bring a good influence. Because
that's a bold statement.
well, it is, well, bold statements common. I mean, it's a known fact that Vince McMahon, left unchecked, writes terrible storylines. But whenever you have someone who is a check and balance for McMahon, like Vince Russo, for example, it's better because Vince does have some great ideas. They're just not all great.
Yeah.
And the last 20 years have been McMahon unchecked, have been McMahon, no, not 20 years, the last 15 years, have been a bunch of yes men saying, yes, Vince, yes, Vince. Whereas Fox could provide that check and balance system for them. So we'll see.
We'll see for sure. Jordan says, I'm short and I hate the short EG gimmick. I feel you. I mean, I'm not a big dude myself, and I'm not. I don't know. I just never. It doesn't resonate with me all that well. I don't know. But we'll see what happens. Yeah. One thing I did want to ask, speaking of titles, and this is kind of a little bit of a weird segue, but so where the hell has the AEW Women's Champion been? Where's Riho been since she won the title?
Well, she had a tag team match with Britt Baker where they were kind of like teasing that interaction. And I think that Riho versus Baker is going to happen on Full Gear on Saturday. So I think we'll get some play on that this week. I mean, it's 2 hours is a tough time slot because they have a big roster, bigger than it may seem.
Yeah.
So, like, remember the debut episode? They basically didn't have any of their mid card guys. Havoc wasn't there. Allen wasn't there. Janela wasn't there. So, like, they have to kind of like mix and pull who they're going to use what week. I agree. I think that Riho should be on there a little bit more often. But the last couple weeks, they've been very tag team centric since it's the tag team title tournament. So now that you have champions for the tag team titles, I think you'll see a little bit better division of talent, as it were.
Jordan brings up an interesting point, and it may be something that we can discuss on the podcast too whenever we record. Says, if I have to see Brock on both shows, I'm not watching whichever one he shows up on. He says, I don't hate Brock. I just hate when they shove champs on both shows week in and week out. If you're going to have definitive split rosters, then yes, I agree. If you had something where it was a little bit more fluid, where if they said like, "Hey, champion's prerogative," if the WWE champion is supposed to be on the SmackDown roster, but they decide to show up on Raw, if they said that going forward, if they set that precedence, like the way that I would be okay with it is if they didn't have like main title, B title, tag titles for each show. If there was only one set of tag titles, if there was only one top tier championship, if there wasn't the WWE and Universal Championship, then in that case, I think you have to have the champion do that. But I'm kind of with you on that, Jordan. But I don't know. I want to know what's going to happen with the top titles if the WWE Championship is going to come back to Raw. If the Universal title is going to go on SmackDown, it seems weird that I don't know.
It's pretty much set in stone for me. Like when Bray won the title at Blood Money, I thought to myself, okay, they're probably just gonna swap it back to Seth at Survivor Series, whatever. But then whenever Lesnar comes out and says he quits SmackDown, he's going to Raw. Well, he's going to show up on Raw and beat Ray's ass. That to me, honestly, is academic. That to me is um, them saying, "Hey, we're switching the titles," which again I am fine with. Um, to me, Lesnar. So to me, I think SmackDown is the better wrestling show. SmackDown versus Raw, and Lesnar didn't fit that mold. I think the Fiend does, oddly enough. So like, I like because Raw is very much like the more entertainment centric. Hence Lana Rusev Lashley. Hence the 24/7 title. Whereas SmackDown is now getting a lot of the better, the better named in terms of actual wrestling talent. We'll see. But I mean, I like the move. I have no problem with it. Plus, Fox makes it known that they want the Fiend to be a high part of the show. So as long as we can wait it out another year, the other three of us get steak dinners from Ransom. So I mean, if nothing else, like that's something to root for.
Yeah. Hopefully, like you said, if Fox really wants to highlight Bray Wyatt, hopefully they'll use him correctly. They'll push him correctly, keep him on top. Keep the title on him until WrestleMania. I'm fine. I'm totally fine with that. Taylor says, I really just don't like Lesnar. He's like the guy I want to see beaten. Exactly. The only time I was rooting for Lesnar was whenever it was Lesnar versus. That's Heat. The only time I was rooting for Lesnar is whenever it was Lesnar versus Goldberg, because it is well documented. I hate Goldberg. So
Lesnar doesn't have go away heat. Rollins was getting go away heat. Lesnar doesn't have that. Lesnar has, a little bit, I guess. Like, man, I'm sick of seeing this guy with the title. Someone's got to beat him. You
want to tune in to see who's going to knock him off that pedestal.
And that's his job.
Yeah.
So, like, I get it. And it's, I don't think we feel that way for the right reason. Like, he's not, I don't think he's doing a great job as a heel, but we just don't want to see Lesnar win the title because that's been the last, 7 years, Lesnar with the damn title forever.
Yeah, because I think they put up the stat on one of the last shows. He was the longest reigning Universal Champion. Yeah, and the Universal title's only been around for how long?
A cup of coffee, yeah.
But
he held it from WrestleMania to WrestleMania, so.
Yeah, so I mean that's, but we'll have plenty more to talk to on that. Hopefully after Monday Night Raw comes up. I don't want to keep us both here too long, but Beef, if you want to go ahead and thank the sponsors one more time, we'll wrap this little shindig up here. So go ahead.
Yeah, man. Definitely want to thank Sean Tischler and what he's done with IWC and bringing them to the Central Pennsylvania circuit. And again, just his work with indie shows, period. For the most part, if you're working through Central Pennsylvania, Sean Tischler is a good guy to work with. So he, anytime you see an indie show come to the area, he would be a guy that may be involved. So we definitely want to thank everything he's doing. And again, follow the Facebook group online on Facebook, the IWC Clearfield group for more updates on IWC coming back in the spring/summer. Probably spring, late spring. And then, obviously, we want to thank Mr. Tiger.
Uppercut.
Bomb Tom. And his awesome work he does with the Casual Gaming Dad and Casual Gaming Dad's Corner on Facebook. Love the retro playthroughs. Love the current playthroughs. It's just, there's a reason that we subjugated you to this podcast. There's a reason we recruited you, and that's because you got a lot of great charisma, and it comes through on your games and your playthroughs as well. So, thank you so much for all the support that you've given us, and just a tiny shout out to Gould Gaming for putting together some awesome T-shirts. that you can find in Casual Gaming Dad's store on the Gould Gaming website. We've already got them flying up the shelves apparently. Well,
Woo! We
one,
do.
but
We at
whatever.
least got one. We got one.
But and yeah, so definitely thank you guys for that, and just a small shout out for IWC. Hopefully the crew, the pilot driver heads here will be in attendance for the Pittsburgh Classic, which I believe is December the 2nd. I'm not sure about the date on that one. Haven't heard too many results from IWC last night, but I'll be interested to follow up on that.
I will. I was gonna save that for Tuesday's show because I want us to talk about that. That way we all have time to kind of go back and maybe catch some highlights and stuff like that. I will say one result from last night: the era of Argos still remains, baby.
All right, woo! What we like to hear.
Yes, and Taylor. This is why I love Taylor as a sponsor with Gould Gaming. Said, "Oh God, Goldberg, that's like cancer fighting against a slightly shittier cancer."
Yep, that's spot on.
Yeah. So, and real quick, like we had just mentioned, there was an IWC show last night here in Elizabeth, Pennsylvania. So if you're not already checking out any stuff, while they're not a sponsor of us officially or anything like that. Big shout out to IWC, Justin Plummer and his crew and everybody, that works with our very own sponsor, Sean Tischler, to bring you guys some awesome independent wrestling. And if you've never checked out any IWC stuff, definitely do so because there are a lot of people that come through that, like Britt Baker, like the soon debuting Wardlow for AEW, both of them there. You got who was the man who was DJZ over in Impact Wrestling, who's now Joaquin Wilde on NXT. Johnny Gargano has come through. Love. Yeah, Johnny Gargano's come through IWC before. So I mean, you never know when you go out to these small indie shows. You never know who you're going to see. You could be seeing a future superstar in the making.
Imagine Wrestling. I'm gonna throw some love to Imagine Wrestling as well. And again, it's not just because Kato has showed up today, but if you are more like centrally located in the central Pennsylvania region, they run mostly out of like Altoona, Hollidaysburg, Duncansville. I think they're probably gonna have a show in Clearfield at some point.
Okay.
But Imagine Wrestling, they had guys like the Main Event, who are the IWC Tag Team Champions. They've had the Mandime.
Well, they might be. I don't know. I don't know about after the last night if they still are or not. I have to look that up.
That's fair. They've had Spencer Slade. So I mean, a lot of this, like a lot of Chris LaRusso is their champion.
Oh yeah.
A lot of these, a lot of these guys who work the area are going to work for multiple promotions. So get out there and see IWC. Get out there and see Imagine. Get out there and see whatever else. Support local indie wrestling, man. That's the message.
Yep. PWX. Anybody? And I can't think of any. I don't know a whole lot of small independent promotions because IWC has kind of been my my breakthrough into watching the indie stuff. But the larger quote unquote indie stuff like Ring of Honor and stuff like that, still a lot of we'll have to talk about that stuff on Tuesday. We didn't even get to that. Yeah. That's probably good. We'll probably save. There's some drama going on in Ring of Honor too, so we're gonna wait and try to gather a little bit more information on that and bring it to you guys on a recording on Tuesday. So, anything else you want to add before we head out, Beef?
Yeah, man. I want to thank you for having me as a guest on your shindig this morning. It's always fun to.
Well, I was gonna say
talk about.
The show is representative of the podcast, so you're not even a guest. You just happen to be just joining in with me. So I mean, yeah, not a guest. This is ours.
It's nice to actually talk about the individual shows because we've discussed this a little bit. We're trying to get to a point on the show where we can talk about kind of wrestling at large. And like talk about the bigger topics of the week without necessarily having to review
breakdown.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So like this is a wonderful little thing, and yeah, man, I loved being here and loved talking wrestling with you. So thanks a lot, man. Appreciate it.
Oh yeah. And I'm not sure. Here we go. Okay, Jordan mentioned RWA. He said we should come to an RWA event. That's in West Newton, so I'll have to check that out. And I'm not sure who said it because it glitched on the chat, but it might have been Taylor. He said, just trying to keep Tom in good spirits and not bring back the PTSD that is F-Zero, which I did win my matchup on the Retro Gaming League this week. But God, I hate that game because I literally only played it for the first time like Thursday practicing and then went with my submission on Friday. This coming week is, what is it? Streets of Rage. So I've played that. Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. So yeah, definitely check out the local indie shows wherever you are because there's indie shows around you somewhere. But we'll
even in Texas, we haven't heard from Texas Heat in a while, but I'm sure there's some great wrestling down in Texas too.
Absolutely. So I think that's going to pretty much wrap things up. Don't forget to check us out on all the different platforms that we have. We're here on Facebook. We're here on YouTube. You can catch us on the Anchor app, Spotify, Google Podcasts, which is where I go and listen to our podcast again for self-critiquing and whatever. I listen to it all the time on Google Podcasts as well as other wrestling podcasts and other podcasts in general. So tweet us at Pit Pile Driver. Follow us on Instagram. If you search Pittsburgh Pile Driver Podcast, that should come up. And what else do we have? I'm trying to think. I was like, do we have any more platforms? I can't even remember.
You can, and I mean, you know what? Like the email, Pittsburgh Powder Podcast at gmail.com. We plug that for Stump the Chumps, but you can really send to like any tidbits that you may want to hear on this show or ideas for topics, or we love interaction, so just get at us.
Yeah, future episode ideas for Colorado tie up, which we're ever due for one of those. We might have to do one of those soon. So, but like that, just general things that you want to hear about, or if you got something for us that something that you heard about on the show that you really like and you want to give us your opinion. Hey, send us a message on Facebook. Message us at the email that Beef just provided, and yeah, just get a hold of us. Spread the word of the P3 podcast. And we're here because we enjoy wrestling in all various forms, all platforms. And we can cover it. We'll talk about it. So we want to hear from you guys as well. Let us know what stuff that you enjoy. Maybe there's a promotion that you know about that we don't, and you can open our eyes to something new too. So I think that's
exactly.
All right. Well, now that we got all the happy feels out of the way and all the plugs, I'm going to go ahead and sign us off. So I was waiting for it.
Go Steelers.
Yes. So for the other two schmucks, for Mr. Beef the Legend, this is Tigerbomb Tom saying, in the words of Beef, rock on. Have a great day, guys, and we'll catch you on the next episode of the Pittsburgh Pile Driver Podcast. Have a good day.